Hi! In the last conversation with Tim, my wife and me, I had the idea to record a cool talk together with Tim. Tim can share lots of valuable insights as a serial entrepreneur, as he co-founded Lecturio, HitFox, as well as AppLift. Tim shares his knowledge as a way of a serial entrepreneur, tips, and as well as his learnings. In addition, we were talking about how Tim and his team is reaching over 1.2 billion app users, how he grew his company from 0 to over 100 million euros in revenue, and as well how he is building such a great international team with over 80% of international employees alone here in Berlin. For me, as I founded as well companies in Singapore, his view on his acquisitions of the company in Singapore were as well really valuable, which are as well discussed in this talk. So if you like this video, give this video a thumb up and subscribe to the channel. And now, enjoy the talk. Hi, today I'm here together with Tim.
Hey guys.
Co-founder and CEO from AppLift, and we will talk about a lot of really interesting things, like your journey as an entrepreneur. Tim, he's a serial entrepreneur and founder of Lecturio, HitFox, and as well as AppLift. And we will talk a little bit about mobile advertisement, as I think you are a real expert in it, and as well a little bit about how to build international culture and international company. Go maybe a little bit what you told my wife and me last time about how you are really building this international team, and here at AppLift it's really an international team, and with international I mean not just that you have offices everywhere, I mean you have offices as well in America and in Asia and here, but you as well have a really international team here in Berlin. I mean, so maybe you can start and tell us a little bit about your journey as a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah, sure. So hi, I'm Tim, I'm CEO and co-founder of AppLift. And the first actual company I founded was back in 2008, a company called Lecturio, which is still around. We basically started back then with the idea of establishing like a platform for universities to share lectures and content, and for the students to consume that without having to go to the classroom. And I think the main learning back then was everything is much tougher than you initially think. So we started out with a lot of good ideas, but with very little experience and knowledge, and had to learn a couple of things the hard way, with very tough times in the beginning. And I think I was able to use that knowledge and experience when starting HitFox in 2011 to not repeat a couple of the mistakes we had made, and do it back better the second time. And within HitFox, we're a company builder, and we start new business models. We find teams that work with us that like to build these companies with us, and we endow them with the initial funding, but also some support and knowledge, especially in the early phase. And one of these projects that we were looking at was AppLift. Well, it wasn't called AppLift back then, but we wanted to build a performance advertising network within the mobile space. Back in 2012, the whole market wasn't that hot. App installs and gaming on mobile phones and all this were things that were just starting to happen. So we started AppLift in summer 2012, and what we quickly realized is from everything we had done before, the main difference was that the mobile market is probably one of the, or maybe the most international market that you can imagine, because everything happens through the app stores, and the app stores, both the Android Play Store, but also the Apple iOS App Store, are standardizing the way business is done in the mobile ecosystem, because the rules are set by these giant platforms. And so everyone has to play within these rules, regardless of whether they play in China, whether they play in the US, whether they play in Siberia, or wherever they are. And that was something that inspired us to think of AppLift as a truly global company right from the beginning, regardless of where we started the company.
And what was because you said you learned a lot of things from your first company, which you then used in HitFox. What are the 3 key things you learned, which you then could use for your second?
Well, maybe focus on the key things. So one thing is when you work with investors, and most startups at some point need to work with investors. I think a mistake we did early on with Lecturio is we created a setup where the investors had too much to say right from the beginning. So it goes along with how early you raise, how much capital, how much share the investor gets, but not only in terms of the share they have in the company, but also the way you actually work with the investors. Like, do you ask them a lot of questions? Do you require or request their approval for a lot of things? And when you're an early entrepreneur, you're a bit humbled by investors because you think those are the big guys and they've done it. So you tend to listen more to them than you should. And I think you should still listen to investors. They oftentimes have valuable advice, but in reality, you're the one who drives your business and you know your own business the best, and you have a vision, you have a direction. That's the reason you started that business in the first place, usually, and not the investor. So ask them for the right topics and not for the ones where they shouldn't be the ones to tell you where to go, and also be friendly but determined on rejecting advice or not taking all advice you get, even though these guys might seem more experienced and more seasoned than you.
And let's say out there as well, young entrepreneurs watching it, and there's always in this kind of trade-off where you think, okay, I can get this experience, knowledge, and I have my own thinking, what I should do. So how can I then, as an entrepreneur or other people or whoever takes an investment or whatever advice it is, how could these people then figure out what is the right decision? It's your feeling, or is it your numbers, or is it like, how would you decide that?
I think first of all, your gut feeling will tell you where you're right and where you might need advice. Sometimes you have a feeling that you're getting into an area you don't understand well, so you already have the mindset of proactively asking for advice. And then also, usually you can think, what is the other party you're asking for advice bringing to the table that you wouldn't know? So if you have an investor on board and you're planning on your second financing round, and you're the first time in your life you're doing that, obviously did the first financing round, but now it's the first time you do a second one, and probably the first time you do it in a certain scale, there's a big chance your existing investor has done that multiple times before and has seen various outcomes and can guide you very well on things that you wouldn't know before. But when you have a specific question with regards to your product that you're building, and you want to understand how you should build the pricing tiers for your product or which customer segment you should focus on, it might still be valuable to get advice, but chances are high that you actually know the answer best yourself, and everyone you're going to ask outside will probably throw an opinion at you, but it might not be a very founded or grounded opinion.
Okay, so that means investment decisions, take advice from investors, or take advice
for what they know best, which is fundraising, which might be handling like accounting topics or maybe tax legal topics sometimes. Take their advice on these topics. Don't take too much advice, or take the advice carefully in areas that are related to your core business operations. Unless you have an investor on board who is like very familiar with your market who has probably invested in 5 other companies that do very similar things, then it might be different.
Okay, and now if we change the topic to mobile advertisement. So what are you actually doing at AppLift? And I saw as well you have now DataLift, so maybe you can tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. So first at AppLift we help app developers launch their apps, grow their user base and retain their users. All of that through advertising, through placing ads within other apps and on mobile websites in various forms, like banner ads, video ads. So in the beginning it starts with prompting users to download an app, and thereafter when the user has downloaded the app, making sure the user stays engaged by retargeting the most relevant ads. So that's what we do as a company as AppLift. Now DataLift or DataLift 360 is our product, the platform that powers our business, and our clients work with us either in a managed service way, where basically our teams manage those campaigns for our clients, or they use the platform themselves if they have the resources and knowledge to do so, and then they pay us a licensing fee for using the product.
And the numbers are really huge. I mean, like 1 billion, you have access to 1 billion phones or something, or you put on your...
Yeah, we reach, I think by now 1.2 billion users every month. So if you look into the mobile space, there are about maybe now 2.4 billion smartphones out there, of which maybe 700 million are in China. So we're not doing a lot of business in China. So if you cut that out, we probably every month reach 70-80% of the global smartphone population, as we call it. So the people who own smartphones, either Android or iOS.
And this you do out with own contracts, or you use like a Google Display Network, or how is it?
We don't use Google Display Network, but what we do, so there are 2 ways of reaching these users. First, we have our own publisher network, which are publishers that own apps that sign up with us and that deliver ads from our systems into their apps directly. And the second part is so-called RTB traffic, where we buy inventory or ad impressions on so-called mobile ad exchanges, which serve similar to stock exchanges in the financial world, where basically each ad impression is auctioned to buyers, and the highest paying buyer wins and buys the impression. Now, since this happens billions of times every day, because there are billions of available ad impressions a day on a global scale, this is all run through systems and algorithms that make these buying decisions. It's not people. People set the macro parameters in the campaign, like how much they're broadly willing to pay for a user and all these settings, which type of users they want to target in which countries. But the buying is a highly automated, algorithmic play. And
in terms of customers, do you focus more, I mean, I know already you focus more on bigger customers, but what would you recommend, let's say, to app companies who have maybe, let's say, 5 million users and they want to grow it now to a lot higher level? Is it the best customer as well to work then with AppLift, or should they buy the traffic somewhere, or should they, what should these companies do in your opinion?
I mean, I think they should work with us. We are not covering the entire market. So if you, for example, advertise on Facebook, it's a different set of inventory basically. So I think most of the app advertisers should also do that and try that. It doesn't work for everyone, but it works for many of them. In general, I think the more important thing is you need to understand your KPIs and you need to understand what you're willing to pay for a user. Because depending on the product, your app, you have different metrics on what you can pay per user. If you have a game that is very well monetizing, and especially, for example, in certain niche countries, let's say your game works really well for customers in Japan, you might be willing to pay $10 for a guy who downloads your game, even if it's a free download, because you know on average you will maybe earn $20 or $30 through that person spending in your game. And understanding these metrics really well is the precondition to grow your user base, because you will only want to invest as much as you get out of that investment. And
then, as you advise as well to other startups or other companies for growing their business. I mean, in general, not just in advertisement, but I was reading a little bit that some news, online news, they were putting, okay, you have a 100 million in revenues. So this is quite fast, I think, in this short time from your existence to then when you had it, especially in Berlin. I mean, okay, if you go maybe internationally, you will find it, these numbers. And how did you do this? And was this already your plan when you set it up? Okay, we need to grow really fast, and we put a lot of customers inside, or how did this come up?
Well, yeah, so it's true. I think we are probably one of the larger startups in Berlin, especially when you look at the actual financials, not just like the number of employees.
Yeah.
I think this is partly due to the fact that what we do is very measurable. So our clients only spend more money with us if we deliver better results, which is a self-fulfilling cycle. If you do it well, then your revenue growth is relatively easy, because you don't need to hard sell a client. You don't need to tell them, look, please buy 5 more, Salesforce accounts, or upgrade your license to this and this version, because it has like 3 new features, and those features might be super valuable for you. What we deliver is performing users for these advertisers. So I think that's one part of how it grew so quickly. And the second thing is we're really on a global market. So if our market was Germany, we would be nowhere near there. Actually, our Germany-focused business is less than 10% of that, way less than 10%. So it's really about a globally scaled business where the market is big enough to grow to where we are today, but even to grow 5, 6, 7 times bigger than we are today.
And this is then as well one reason why your team is so international, or you were directly from day one saying, okay, we want to have an international team, or how did this grow?
I think we made a few early decisions, such as we had English as the company language from day one. I think it's now pretty common in Berlin, maybe many companies do have that. I think 5 years ago it wasn't that much. We're probably one of the earlier companies doing that. So that helped us. And then we knew early on that the market we were in, mobile apps, is by definition one of the most global markets that there is in the world. So not having an international setup for such a market opportunity wouldn't make sense. So I think it was by conscious choice, yes.
So when you're hiring, you look at some certain percentage are international, or how is it? Or is it just by...
Not really. So yes, we have positions which require language skills, for example. We wouldn't hire an account manager for Russia without Russian skills, but you can also get Germans with Russian skills. So we're not looking at the nationality as a criteria, but we're looking in some cases at language as a criteria and the background experience we expect from someone. So if you meld that together, in most cases it means that you might not find, let's say, someone from Germany who fits that role very well. You could, but in many cases you don't. And the second thing is, I think, having been one of the companies that started English first as the company language and had very international workforce from the beginning, we had a lot of influx from applicants who didn't have the option to join like just any company in Berlin, who were probably moving to Berlin and they liked the city and the vibe, but they were looking for a job where they would not have to learn German, and that also created like just a bigger inflow of applications from people from all around the world.
I think especially this point is really good. I mean that you are international as well in Berlin. I mean not just head office everywhere, but you really have you said last time, like you even have a higher percentage of international people in the office than Germans. So.
Yeah, I think we are like 80%, more than 80% internationals. I think if you look by single nationality in the Berlin office, there might even be 1 or 2 nationalities which are more present than Germans here.
Yeah, this is, I think, that's really cool. 80% of international people here. I mean, especially in Berlin. I mean, it's cool. It's not just outside in some other countries you have international people, but here. So I think it gives as well a really cool atmosphere. I mean, inside of your company. And then I saw that...
And challenges.
And challenges.
Good atmosphere, but also a lot of challenges.
And then I saw that you made some acquisitions. So how important you think these acquisitions were, and would you recommend other younger companies make acquisitions, or because there could be, I mean, positive things and as well maybe other challenges for integration after merger or after acquisition?
So in our case, it was successful, and I'm very happy we did that. I think you really have to understand what you look in for the company you acquire. And in most early stage companies, you're not buying like a super set and well-functioning business, like in a traditional industry where you just keep it running and it does its job if it's managed well. You need a very strong fit between your teams and the teams of the companies you buy, because you're usually having some sort of integration. You probably jointly develop products, you maybe cross-sell clients on each other's products. So there's a lot of interaction, and that means you need to actually have a cultural fit that is very strong between both teams, because otherwise that will not work. And so if I could give any advice to someone who is looking into that, make really sure that you and the founders of the company you're buying are fully aligned on the future. Make sure that everyone's buying into the same vision, and that there is a very good, vibe, intangible vibe between the teams that makes them work productively together.
And how did you choose these targets? So one of the companies was in Singapore, for example. So how did you choose, okay, I go to Singapore and I don't make it in Seoul, or I don't make it in San Francisco, is there some advice on this, or was it just, okay, we want to enter Asia, or we want to enter...
We were looking to buy a specific piece of technology that we didn't have developed in-house, so we were looking for a buy or build decision, where you either invest and then it takes you time and resources to build it, or you buy a company that has it. In that case, we were scanning and looking at a variety of companies that had the same technology piece, and we ended up finding the best fit in terms of the culture of the team, the quality of the product in that company, which was headquartered out of Singapore. We simultaneously looked into companies in Europe, but we just didn't find it as good a fit.
Okay. My last question, how do you see yourself and as well the company, okay, that will be maybe 2 things, in the future? So are you planning to start aside some other companies, or are you planning to, as you already now started 3 companies in a row after like a short amount of time? Are you planning to do more of this, or are you now fully focused on AppLift and just do AppLift, or what is your...
Currently I'm fully focused, and also I would say my heart and my soul is very much with the company, because it's been great seeing company grow through ups. We also had certain downs that were limited, but we also had them on the journey, and that really creates, I think, an emotional attachment. In whatever way that will, I think I will be supportive and kind of part of the company for a long time to come. Whether that's always going to be as the CEO in the very long-term future, I don't know. I also believe not everyone is made to lead a company through every phase, and a lot of entrepreneurs are not the best leaders when the company has hit a certain threshold, and there are other people who are better to take it further. So I think I observe that, and if the right time comes, make the right choices. Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks a lot. And I think we will see each other soon. Yes, absolutely, Marcus. Bye-bye. Thanks. Bye-bye.